happens, and I hope
being
it
recorded
doesn't.
because something else
I pray to
happens.
my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ that I'm wrong. That you play this.
I'm watching Dan Bongino. He's the exact same age as me. As a matter of fact, there was an old soap opera back in the day, in the olden days. It was on the grandma it was on the radio. It was one of the oldest soap operas called Guiding Light. It was on the radio on the AM FM Peanut Bar and Jelly radio, TV, electric fence wires, like telephone poles. Back in the day in the 40s, and then when they made TVs black and white in the 50s, they carried it over, and there was like a lot of people like old singers and shit. There was a couple like famous people like I can't remember. There was, but that they brought but Guiding Light was one of them on the old radios before they had black and white TVs, and that was Guiding Light. But Jan Bongino, I'm a fan of his. I listen to his radio, and his his grandparents were one of the people that worked on the radio station, and then made it over to the TV and was like one of the managers. So yeah, he's a rich boy, but he's kind of like a Daniel Cooper. I don't want to get blamed for what his parents did evil because he ain't in his parents' body. He's himself. And his probably parents fucked him like they did their people, like David Cooper or was Daniel Cooper, man. But anyway, but Dan Bongino, I was at one of them Trump rallies. It was like 2016. Yeah, I'm not under oath. Dan Bongino, and it is good. It's being recorded, so a shit like this don't happen no more. But that Bongino dude is the same age as me. And I'd never been to, I mean, I've only lived in a couple different places in my life, my short life I had. But that, I heard there was a presidential rally coming, and it was kind of Trump, and he was kind of seemed like he was, not like a 100-year-old Alzheimer's patient or a senior citizen, you know what I'm saying? I never heard of one coming to my town, which was Indiana-Michigan border way down, I can't remember. But Dan Bongino, I've been holding it in forever, didn't want to tell nobody, I'm not under oath. But he was right because he is right. Because when I went to one in 216, I wanted to go, and I didn't know, and I'm very poor and didn't have no money, and so I called and I got the ticket, and you didn't have to pay for it; it was free, and like I bought it like a week before or something. And the night before, I called them, and I said, because my cell phone, for the first time in my life, was kind of cracked. And I said, is this like a regular concert? When I get there, I said, am I going to have to print out my ticket from my cell phone, the way concerts all are on music venues? I said, I have to print it out. I said, because I'm not driving all the way with the little bit of gas I have from my own house. You know what I'm saying? To make sure. And what am I allowed in there? Am I allowed to bring in cigarettes? Is there smoking on the grounds? Am I allowed to bring a cooler? Do I have to have a print out of my ticket and then drive all the way back home and realize I fucked up for a venue I plan on going to? And they're like, we don't know, man. Just show up. Here's an email. Call the email in the sky. And I'm like, shit. So the night before, I was so excited. Never been to had a circus like a presidential rally come to my town or whatever. So I was kind of something to do on a weekend. So I drive there, and my phone was cracked. And like he was saying, it was one of those small venues out in the country. There was like a barn out in the middle of nowhere, and it was a local news. And there was like 2,000 people in the field. And we're all, I got there early because venues, you get in the back, you know what I'm saying, or get there early, you know what I'm saying, overcrowded. And there was 2,000 people of us there. We're all standing in the field. I got there about 9, 10 o'clock because it was far away. I didn't want to make sure, I had everything. So I've been to concerts where they say, well, you can't have this, you can't have that. Walk back to here, walk back, go home, and get this and go this, So I wanted to make sure I was prepared. So it was my first time, never been to one. And I got there, and there's 2,000 of us. It was like a 4-H barn out in the country, like a 4-H grounds barn. And there's 2,000 of us, and I was about ready to black out because I just didn't feel good that day. And I didn't bring no water, nothing, because I didn't really have no money. I wasn't going to buy a hot Pepsi and have it open, then have to throw it away. You know what I'm saying? Like for $3.50, $3.50, you know what I'm saying? I have to throw it away at the concert opening, because a lot of them are like that. Because you could be bringing in vodka or something, drinking it, at the check-in. You know what I'm saying? For the security cards and everything. And, Secret Service officers didn't want to get in trouble, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, we got to those 2,000 of us. I got there about 10 or 11. There was 2,000, so we stood in the field, and there was nobody, but I didn't bring nothing, and everybody was like, we're staying out the sun. It was supposed to open like at 2 or 3 in the afternoon in the summertime, and I asked somebody, I was about ready to black out, and nobody had no pop. There was no pop, and there was like, the town was like 5, 6 miles down the road, and you'd have to drive into town and buy something and bring it back. I didn't have no money. I was already blackout. And there was two dudes, and I asked them if I could have water because everybody was like dying of thirst. It was almost like being in the goddamn Holocaust. And I was like, didn't want to ask, but I was like, the shores. I was like dying of thirst, already blackout, and somebody gave me one. I felt so bad. The 2,000 people were in the field. They're all listening. You know what I'm saying? They were thirsty too. A lot of them were older, middle aged, and I felt bad for asking. I was literally about ready blackout. I wasn't, expecting them to give me one, but they did. And then we get into the venue, and there was no ticket stub. They just opened up the door. It was like the door opened up like magic. We like all walked in. I said, "Do I have to bring?" I was showing my phone, saying, "Do I have to show my phone?" Just show my phone. They're like, whatever, yeah. But the thing was, there was these. The media was there. All the networks, CBS, NBC, like the other ones. There was like 3 other TV stations. And in that barn venue out in the middle of nowhere, like like a 4-H fairgrounds, we're all standing in the crowd, and there was no chairs, no bathrooms, no vending machines, no drinking fountains, no nothing. We were all still thirsty at 6 o'clock at night, like a 12-hour shift at a job. And there was like one senator that came out for 2 hours, another senator, like a guest star, came out and talked for 2 hours. And at the podium, like a prep or something, like president of a high school, like there's like chairs in the background where there is bleachers, and there was like 25 people, just what you see on TV, and they got to sit, and they were like having fun, and we didn't want to yell at them, and we had to stand there. There was no bathrooms, no vending machines or nothing. I mean, no water, drinking fountains, nothing. And if we didn't like it, we could have drove back home and missed it, but we wanted to be there, wanted to go there and be there. And we were all standing on concrete, and there was this, I was way back in the back, and there was this old dude about 78 years old, and he was standing about 8 feet from me, and his legs were all swelled from just being old and working in his factory, from bad circulation. And he ended up blacking out, and they carried him out on a stretcher. But anyway, we were standing there just dying of thirst, dying of dehydration, like being a Holocaust. But the 5 labels that were there, the NBC, CBS, the 5 broadcasters, main local channels that you get with the news and weather. And then there was like a Fox News, and there was one other person, and there were 6 of them. And them, I mean, I've been wanting to unleash forever, but them things that they had for the cameras, it looked like an airplane black box, but it wasn't. It was like little suitcases. They look like goddamn space boxes, and they look like something out of this world. I mean, I didn't know, and they were just sitting right there, and the camera dudes were filming. And I mean, I tell you what, they look like, if you can imagine what they say the black boxes and airplanes look like, it looked a million times worse than that. And I didn't know, like, it was like boxes of like superized kryptonite from the future. I mean, they were like no bigger than a little suitcase, but I mean, like this big, and they looked scary. I mean, like, it was like their hard drive. Yeah, right. I don't know, but it was pretty fucking creepy. I think that's why we're all scared and didn't move. But there was no Secret Service, no nothing. No cops, no water machines, no nothing. And I didn't want to tell anybody because I didn't want people to shoot the president. So, but yeah, later.